Welcome to the B-side with me, Mr. Bruno Jones. This is a space I've created to talk about community, music, culture, all the things that matter to me in the world. I love conversation. If you know me, you know that about me. I get it from my mum. So I love conversation. I love speaking life into people. Since I nearly lost my life a few years ago, it taught me to say things that matter to you, and to just really don't waste time in these spaces. And as a result, I learned that I have a gift with this. I learned that not everyone speaks life unapologetically and honestly into people. All my students know this, where I've been honest with you about things and stuff's happened for you. I've foreseen things that have happened for a lot of my students, some of my friends, things like that. And I kind of have been building conversations over the last few years. I've documented some incredible moments with some wicked people over the years, some really, really sick people. Some of them have been, honestly, I've been so nervous to even attempt asking a question in, and then others has just been, I didn't want it to end, you know? So these documented conversations, I'm actually going to be putting them all together in the B-side. And the reason I've chosen the name B-side is because it's the other side of the vinyl. If you know vinyls, you've got an A-side and a B-side, and the B-side is the behind the scenes, like the bit where you get to know more about the artist, or more about myself, or more about the scene that we're in, or more about anything like that. So yeah, I'm really, really excited to bring this to you. I've finally curated it properly in a way that makes sense to me, and it will make sense to people outside. Before, I just had ideas and I was just executing ideas as they were coming in. And now it really makes sense to me. I can see it as clear as day as what I want to do with all of these amazing conversations. So we're going to be building playlists, and we're going to have the videos and the audios for people to listen to, and I'll be working on that. But before I actually put any of that out officially, I needed to do one from myself. Obviously, I'm Mr. Bruno Jones, and I'm leading these conversations and creating these spaces. And obviously, I think you should lead from the front. I'm a firm believer of that. You should definitely always lead from the front. So here I am. So I think we should start from the beginning. Yeah, I might split this up into a few different episodes because it deserves the respect in the space. But let's start from the beginning. So now you know what the B-side is. Where did I begin? Where did my story start? So I grew up in London. I grew up in the south of London, Croydon, the birthplace of dubstep, home of DJs like Plastician, Scream and Benga, Stormzy, these kind of artists. That was my home. That's where I grew up. And then I lived there till I was in my early teens, and London was amazing musically. So that's where, when I think about my influences and I think about my experiences, when I'm a youngster, it's definitely London memories that pop up. So garage, yeah, for me, I used to walk home from school and I'd see my Uncle Errol, he'd be in his transit van, and I'd walk past. He had like short dreads, and he'd be smoking weed. I didn't know what weed was at the time. Now I do. Big up, Errol. I'd walk past the van, and he'd be like, "Yo, like, what's going on?" And then I'd see him and chat to him for a minute. He goes, "Yo," and he'd be playing a tape, and he's playing garage, like raw garage. I'm telling you, like, this is the raw OG stuff, yeah. So he's playing that, and I'm like, yo, like sick. It's kind of vibing to it. I'm just used to it at this point. And he's given me the tapes, and he would give me tapes on a regular basis to take home to my mum. My mum was a DJ, so I'd take them home and we'd play them in the car when we're driving around, in the cassette stereo in the car back in the days. And my mum also had other tapes. Yeah, she had like R&B tapes. There's one tune that springs to mind right now that I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm having flashbacks. R&B tapes. There was like garage tapes. It was a very eclectic car. There was like rare groove tapes. Like you'd have everything in there, like Keith Sweat, all sorts, like Genuine, all the way through to like we'd be listening to ragga, like Barrington Levy, like it such a broad spectrum. And then there was no sort of restrictions at that time with our music at all. And I think that's where I first learned that you could be free. If you like something, you like it, you know what I'm saying? So that's what we used to listen to driving in the car. But when we were at home, because my mum was a DJ, she built a huge record collection. Like, she built the biggest record collection. Like, it was massive. Like, I remember as a kid, just like looking through them. You had to be careful though, because they're very precious. But we used to look through these vinyls and she had everything. Michael Jackson, Barry White, Luther Vandross again, Friday, there was some pop in there. She had George Benson, like Buju Banton's album, like Bob Marley stuff, like everything. There was everything in this collection. It is amazing. It's not was, it is amazing. She still has it to this day. And she used to play these on the weekends. She used to wake us up playing music. So depending on her mood would be what she would play and we would get woken up by. And I'm telling you, I hated it. I hated it. Honestly, I did. I hated it as a kid. Now I look back, I'm like, yo, these are bangers. I'm like, Mum, can I have that vinyl? If I could get a time machine right now, I'd be like, yo, can I just have that vinyl and put it in a frame? Trust me, some bangers in there. But yeah, that's essentially how we spent our time at home. And then when we used to go out, we used to go to, in London, there's a lot of pubs that play a lot of, how you got DJs here in venues, or in today's day and age, you got DJs in venues and pubs and stuff like that. We had like reggae DJs and ragga DJs and dancehall DJs and stuff in pubs. So because there's such a heavy Jamaican influence or Caribbean influence in the UK, especially in London, these pubs were like pumping. I'm telling you, the vibes were like, it stinks of weed the moment you walk in. Like, it's just a vibe. And the sound system's always so sick. That's one thing about Jamaicans, yeah. Our sound systems are always fucking lively. They're always sick. But we would like be kids. We'd fall asleep in these venues. Like, again, my mum's DJing and all this stuff, but we loved it. Like, from what I remember, we loved it. The vibes were immaculate. We were safe, you know. My Uncle Frank used to be the guy. He used to be the guy, R.I.P. Uncle Frank. But he used to be the guy where you'd go into any pub and he's that man, you know. He knows everybody. He's like about it, you know. He's one of them. So that was incredible experience growing up, because now being a DJ and now being so eclectic in all my music and building libraries, which I'm going to share my Spotify libraries as well at some point. But with my like knowledge and experience from growing up and being exposed to so much like heavy culture, I think it's really, I'm starting to realize now in my 30s that how much it's shaping me as a person and as an artist. It's incredible. Like, it really, really is incredible. And it's such a gift, and you don't realize it growing up, you know? You really, really don't. But from there, that was the main basis of our experience in London. And then from there, I moved to the countryside when my early teens, yeah? Moved to the countryside, a place called Northampton. Yeah, this is where I spent my teenage years. And this is what influenced my dance culture side. So in my teenage years, this is where I discovered that magical plant that you call weed, cannabis, yeah. That's where I discovered that. I discovered Dex, I discovered like just the dance music culture as I grew up. So being a city boy into the country, especially in your teenage years, was a hard adjustment. And For those that don't know, big exclusive, my nickname was Bruno. That's not my real name, but I got my nickname Bruno. It was supposed to be a racist joke when I was at school. That's how it started. That's how Bruno came about. It was genuinely supposed to be a racist joke, but it never landed. I was in the school canteen, getting my lunch, queuing up. And when you queue up, there's loads of tables, like all sort of dotted around. And there was a guy, I actually thank him for this. Yeah, he's a legend for this. Like, even though the context is bad, but he is a legend for this. His name's Joe Batch. And if you're watching this or you ever watch this, Joe Batch, yeah, you're a legend. Thank you for giving me this nickname. But he shouted, "Look, there's Frank Bruno." And he went, "Bruno, Bruno, Bruno," like this. So every lunch, everywhere I went in school, everyone called me Bruno. Like, Bruno, Bruno, and it stuck. And I actually quite liked it. I was like, yeah, this is all right. Like, I don't really mind, you know. And I never saw the bad side of it, you know. And yeah, and Jones, where Bruno Jones came from, was my best friend, Luke Tyrrell. We were chilling by the library in the place that we stayed, the village we stayed. We were chilling by the library as kids, doing what kids do on bikes and stuff. And he randomly just went, "Oh, hello, Mr. Jones." Like, I remember him saying it. And then it was Bruno Jones. Like, "Hello, Mr. Jones, Mr. Bruno Jones, Mr. Bruno Jones." And then it was just like a sort of nickname, you know, like a nickname, but not a nickname. It wasn't like an official nickname kind of thing. And then fast forward a little bit, I'll just say how it stuck. I was actually booked to support Dimension and Graphics, yeah, here in Melbourne. And my Instagram handle for my DJ account was Mr. Bruno Jones, which the reason it was Mr. Bruno Jones was because of my friend, Luke Tyrrell. And they put me on the flyer. I'm not going to say the promoter, but they put me on the flyer wrong, as Mr. Bruno Jones. And I actually saw it, and I wasn't mad, but I was like, it's a mistake, but I wasn't mad. I was like, yeah, it is what it is, kind of thing. And then I just played my set, killer set. The set's wicked. It's on my SoundCloud. And afterwards, I was like, I want to go and speak to Graphics, and I want to go speak to Dimension. Dimension just sold out Wembley, and Graphics is a legend in the drum and bass scene. So I wanted to go and speak to them just to sort of say hi and say thank you and ask some advice. And one of their pieces of advice they gave me, the rest is secret, it was just for me. But one of the pieces of advice they gave me was they loved my name. They were like, "We love your name. We absolutely love it." And I was like, I'm keeping that. I am keeping that. So yeah, that's how Mr. Bruno Jones officially stuck. It was just Bruno before that. But anyway, back to the story. So we are in a country town from the city. I've got my nickname Bruno. I didn't really have many friends. Didn't really fit in anywhere, as you can imagine, especially being brown in a white place, really. Not many of us other than my sister, but she was really gelling to this life. I wasn't. But what happened next actually would change everything forever. And my mum forced me to go out and chill with some of the local guys. And I remember this, to this day, I remember looking out the window and I remember who I saw. And there's two people there that would change my life forever. And that's my brothers now, Sonny and Tyrrell. They're both my brothers. Now, there was two people in the group there that would, I didn't know that, but they would change my life. And I went out with these kids, and it's funny, my homie Tyrrell didn't like me when he first met me, yeah. We're like family now, yeah, we're literally family now, but he didn't like me when he first met me. Don't know why. I think it's because I was an outsider. You know how it is. And then Sonny was sound. Sonny was cool, quiet guy, but he's really cool. And yeah, from there we just started vibes in. Like, it took a minute for us to obviously gel, but yo, we started just, that was us, that was the clique from there. We had a few bad eggs in the clique, a few weirdos, a few people that you kind of outgrow, you know, all different types, which I think is healthy for any friends group. You kind of realize, like, look, we're kind of different. Like, us lot are similar, but you're just a bit different in it. You're a little bit not us, you're not our vibe kind of thing. And you realize that as you grow up, and it's quite a healthy thing, because it's a good social what's the word, cue. It's a good social thing to get as you're growing up. But anyway, as the group got smaller and smaller, we got closer and closer, and we were just inseparable. We'd always do stuff together. And it's funny, it's like me, Sunny and Tyrrell are friends, yeah, but we're family now, but at the time we're friends. But it's weird how we're yin and yang. It's like, I felt like I was a circle and one of them was yin and one of them was yang. They were so opposites, but I was a circle holding us all together, you know, like in our friendships group. And they were so different. I used to smoke loads of weed with Sunny, and then I used to go out driving and and having fun with Tyrrell, like going to clubs and stuff like that. And we were just completely different, but it was all vibes. It was all vibes. Like, we'd all chill together sometimes, but it was just different. Like, it's crazy, as like, I don't know if that makes sense, yeah, but it was some of the best times. Like, it really was some of the best times of my life, like, that I've ever had. And yeah, with that, we just got closer and closer and closer. And we really, like, we would hang around together on a daily basis. And this led us to eventually move out together. And we all got a house together, me, Sunny and Tyrrell. And it was one of the best decisions of my life. But what's weird, at that time, yeah, I had a choice. I had enough money. I was going to go and train martial arts in China. Yeah, I really wanted to go and do it, go and live over there and just go and learn. And well, I've always been obsessed with martial arts. It's a fun fact about me. Love martial arts. And I had enough money to go, yeah. But with me, Sunny and Tyrrell, we also had this really random opportunity came up for us to move into this house. And we're like, yo, so we've been friends for years. We're all like, you were like just so tight. And we're like, fuck it, like, what have we got to lose? So I didn't go to China. I moved in with Sunny and Tyrrell. And it was the fucking best decision I've ever made in my life. Little did I know that this was the thing that was going to send us all on our individual paths, like where you go from being like your teenage tight group into, we're still family, but we spread our wings to become individuals as men, you know. And this was incredible because we had house parties. The part of this journey was we had these house parties and we were the place. Like, I don't think I can even describe how much of vibes, yeah, these house parties were. We were like the place to go to. On the weekend, you were coming to us. Whatever you're doing, it is ending up at ours. Like, we had a room with decks in it. We had like all of our bedrooms, and there was the spare room with the decks in it, and there was upstairs toilet, downstairs toilet. I stayed downstairs. There's a living room, sick garden. We had an outdoor area that was undercover in that, and we had a table football, which we turned into a beer pong table. Like, this house was sick, and it was just vibes. It really was vibes. And the house parties were legendary, and that's where I got into my house music. The house parties was where I discovered house music, and we were rinsing deep house in these parties like no tomorrow. I'm telling you, that's when we had CDs. We were playing on Tractor. There's a picture somewhere where we got the Tractor controller, we got the 850s. They were Pioneer 850s. They were Nathan's. Big up Nathan every time. They were Nathan's, and yeah, that's where they were all lined up in the kitchen, and we'd been mixing for ages. And this is where some other very, very, very important people come into the picture. Now, I wanted to bring these people in at the right time. I didn't want to start from the beginning because otherwise we'd be here for fucking days. But this is where I would like to introduce everyone to the other brothers in arms, which is Rudy and Lewis. Now, these two were my DJ brothers, yeah. So me and Sonny, yeah, to give you the context when it comes to the music, me and Sonny were like mixing. So when I learned to DJ, I learned at 17, yeah, and I learned at music. I went to college, studied music, and me and Sonny were because we were so tight, yeah, we got into music. Sonny was getting into decks, I was getting into decks, and we were buying vinyls together, and we were sort of evolving. We're buying vinyls, we're evolving, we're like getting into it, we're developing our sound and learning what we like, what we don't like. I think my first ever vinyl was When the Sun Goes Down. I can remember the song, yeah, When the Sun Goes Down was one of my first ever vinyls. But yeah, as we were getting better, we went to open decks. We went to an open decks. There's a part of the story which I'm not going to tell on this. I'm not going to tell this part, a part of the story, just because I don't think it should be out there for public knowledge. But nonetheless, we went to these open decks, yeah, and these open decks were at a place called Decades. So we are fresh young kids, me and Sonny, barely know what we're doing, and we're just putting ourselves out there, you know. And we meet Rudy at this this open decks, and from that moment on, me and Rudy have been friends for like 20 years or something like that. Crazy. But yeah, we met Rudy at these things, and he was liking what we were playing, and we're just like, yeah, we're vibing. So I used to have to get a train to Northampton to play all the time. So I would always go to get the train to Northampton, I'd meet up with Rudy, and then we'd roll around, and Rudy would introduce me to so many cats. He was really, really well sort of connected in Northampton, because he went to school there. I didn't go to school in Northampton, so I went to school in a village which was on the outskirts of Northampton. Northampton's a town, and the villages surround the main town, and each village has its own school. So yeah, I didn't go to school in Northampton, so I didn't really know anyone. But through Rudy over the years, I got to really pretty much well know everybody. So anyone I know in Northampton is thanks to Rudy. And we used to go and mix around people's houses. I didn't know him from Adam. All I had was my vinyl on me. That's all I had was vinyl. And Rudy would be like, yeah, come through to this place. And I would meet some of the most amazing people ever. But you were tested every time you went in these places. You were tested, you really were. The decks were always different. Like sometimes there's issues with needles, there's issues with sound systems, there's issues with headphones, there's issues with all sorts. And everything was more or less like analog almost, because you're using vinyl and you just had the main mixers. But you learn by trial by fire, and everyone's listening to you. You're like, so we're smoking weed at the time. Everyone's listening when you're mixing. So your mixes, you really got to try. You got to be on point, and it's constant. It's like a battle. We're doing back-to-backs, but everyone's really trying to get some good mixes in, you know. Some were average, but then when it banged, it banged. And this is where Rudy got the nickname from me called the Juggernaut. So he used to mix, like at the time, yeah, with that sort of jump up and that, he was ruthless. No one could test Rudy. Nobody could test Rudy. Some of the tracks that he had, some of the vinyls, some of the mixes, he had dubs before you knew it was even a dub. Like, he had tracks. Like, that's one thing with him and Sonny. Like, Rudy would have the exclusives, and he would be ahead of the game always. And Sonny was just really clever with his selection. Sonny was a real selector. He's a real selector. And that's how we came up. So to get to the house parties, we came through our drum and bass era, mixing drum and bass for years. And then fast forward to the house party where we were. That's essentially how we got to mixing house music. We kind of got a little bit bored of drum and bass, and also deep house was blowing up, and we were kind of like, we like this. This is a vibe. This is all right. Hannah Wants just started blowing up. Charmy just released Promises. You know, it was a vibe. Like, it really, really was a vibe. And that was our house party era. We were there for just over a year, I think, and it was incredible. There was one time in the house, in between the house parties, we bought like 100 toilet rolls, and we ended up having a massive toilet roll fight in the house. It was hilarious. Like, 3 lads and 100 toilet rolls. You can only imagine what would happen. It's so funny. Like, some of the best memories I ever had. And that would lead me on to making a decision that would change everything for me. And we eventually, after we finished the lease in the house, we all went our separate ways. I respected that with the guys. Like, it was amazing what we did, but they had visions of what they wanted to achieve, and I supported them fully. And I made a promise to myself I was never going to go backwards, in a sense. What I thought was backwards. I didn't know what I was going to do or where I was going to go, but all I knew is that I just had to keep taking steps forward. And I envied them because they both knew exactly kind of where they wanted to go and what they wanted to do, and I didn't. And I always was like, man, I wish I could have had that, you know, where I knew where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do. So I moved in on my own. And no decks, no nothing, just I was kickboxing a lot at that time. And I lived over the road from a supermarket. I used to get bacon rolls on a Saturday, I remember. And it was a good time, like living on my own. And I got to see the homies every now and again. It was sick. And then my homie Tyrrell moved in with a lad. I remember that was quite cool. I'm not going to say his name, but I remember he moved in with some guy, and that was cool. They used to have really good parties. Used to go around there, met some wicked legends. Big up Nathan, yeah. I met Nathan over there. That was cool. If you don't know who Nathan is, there's no context, but just if he's watching this, big up. And yeah, man, and I suppose that brings me up to where the middle would be, which will be another episode. So I kind of fast-tracked a lot of that because I felt I wanted to give you the short, quick version. I didn't really want to go too much detail because we would be here for ages, but nonetheless, that's where I started. That's where I began, and that is my story up to the middle. So what happens from here is my journey to coming to Australia, etc. But I feel like it's important to shine a light on where we come from. I have a lot of respect for everyone around my upbringing, and I wouldn't be the man I am without them, to be quite honest. And the algorithm itself is named after my squad and my crew, because we were an algorithm. We just worked, we just flowed. Like, I'm telling you, every time I go home and see them, it's just effortless. It's just vibes. You don't even need anything. You know, as long as we've got USBs. You know we've got USBs because it's happening. It's just a matter of time. When are we getting the decks out? But yeah, Sonny, Tyrrell, Rudy and Lewis, and myself, that's the reason I created the algorithm, because of what we created in the UK and the bond that we had. And I felt that others deserved to have that, you know, they did. And I wanted the space more than anything because I miss them, and I still miss them to this day. So paying homage to my beginning and my experience with my mum and music and stuff, it's really important. It's really, really important to me. Everything I do with music, it really stems from that time. It was a really, really important time for me. So yeah, we will have the middle next time on the B-side with Mr. Bruno Jones. But for now, I've been Mr. Bruno Jones. This is the B-side. And we will catch you on episode 2.